This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It's a little soft. Hey, everybody. It is the After Party live on a Hide in Your Cave Monday. Oh, now it's too loud. Too soft, too loud. Are we going to find our Goldilocks just right? I think so. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys had a really, really good weekend. I hope it was a great birthday weekend for Teacher Lori. And I am grateful to have you all along for the ride on this Hide in Your Cave Monday, where we are going to Iceland. There's some really cool things to look at today, so I'm excited about it. But the first thing I'm excited about is Claude. And I don't know if you have ever seen Claude or been as mesmerized by Claude as have I, but Claude lives at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco, and he is an albino alligator. There he is in his enclosure, and it's a pretty big habitat, and it's very much highlighted when you first walk in to the California Academy of Sciences. And there's Claude. Claude, according to SF Gate, is turning 30 years old. Claude is now in midlife. He is pretty cool looking. He definitely stands out. I always thought perhaps he was lonely in there. I don't know how much alligators hang out together if they need a buddy, but he always seems kind of lonely, and he's just on display. Here's a close-up of Claude. I know, he's just so cool looking, isn't he? Yeah, Claude is turning 30 years old. He enjoys a spa-like scrubbing. That's one of the things that he likes to do. But Claude, the albino alligator, is well known to people who frequent California's Science Academy of Sciences, the Cal Academy, as it's called. He also would be, they say, kind of in danger in the wild because of his albino nature, that it would be pretty much a death sentence because he's bright white, and because he's nearly blind because of it, it would mean that he would have a serious challenge ambushing any prey. Can't see, right? He also would be susceptible to attacks from other alligators. So I guess maybe he's not so lonely after all. Anything bigger than him, that's a red flag. So Claude was taken from the St. Augustine Alligator Farm Zoological Park and brought to San Francisco. He debuted in 2008 at the Cal Academy. The Cal Academy was already looking for an alligator, and they found Claude in Florida. They knew that he would be absolutely perfect for this. And so Claude has just been living his existence in San Francisco. The living arrangement and with the turtles, he was in an enclosure with the turtles. He had a run-in with a turtle apparently named Bonnie that left Claude missing a toe, so they don't do that anymore. But Claude is smart. They say he's trainable. He responds to voice commands. He knows his name. He knows to come to specific feeding stations for his meals. And he loves the scrub down. They said it started as a practical way to remove algae, but now it's this kind of spa-like scrub down experience that Claude really enjoys. He closes his eyes and he'll float at the surface when he gets scrubbed. And when you scratch him with a brush, they say you can feel him move like back and forth. They say we shouldn't be able to push a 300-pound alligator around like this. The brushing hits a perfect spot behind his head that he always tries to itch, doing these underwater somersaults, but rarely can reach. And he just loves it. He also makes a noise, a deep roar that vibrates through the exhibit. They say it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes once they installed these snow machines at the academy, and the sound vibrations the machines made confused Claude. He did not like it. He thought there were other alligators nearby, so he responded. I don't think they do that anymore. It doesn't make Claude happy. So yeah, there's A lot of people that love Claude. He gets a lot of birthday cards. He gets a lot of colorful drawings that people send in. And they've been celebrating his birthday, or his hatch day, as they call it, for a really long time. They give him fish cakes and other kinds of treats. And I'm so grateful to this, to SF Gate for putting out this article today celebrating Claude, because I really like Claude as well. He's a fixture in San Francisco. I don't know how long an alligator like this will live, and they did not note that. There are, they say, about 1 to 200 albino alligators, 100 to 200 albino alligators worldwide. So it's nice to have Claude in San Francisco. I love Claude. Have you guys seen Claude before? Anybody? Go into the chat. Yeah. We already did, Phineas. We did it on Friday. Thank you. They use it's like a little red brush. It's like a little tiny red scrubber, and they just scrub right behind his head. So, yeah. Be Aware says alligators have a total of 18 toes, 5 toes on each of their front feet, 4 toes on each of their back feet. Why, thank you. Claude is now missing a toe because Bonnie ate it. Deidre says, my daughter went there a couple weeks ago and it was packed with little ones. Yeah, it's a fun place to take the kids. Judy says, I haven't been to Cal Academy in many years. I can't deal with all the walking around. It's a lot, but if you haven't seen the butterfly exhibit and the penguin exhibit, there's so much to see there. Teacher Lori says, species isolation makes me sad. Yeah, they say that Claude would be in danger living out in the real world, so like, this is a place for Claude. Yeah. Okay, let's move from Claude, happy birthday, Claude, to this next story about rescuers racing against time to save this giant turtle that was buried on the beach. And I do need to thank Calvin Wong for getting us the story. It's fascinating, the video that was taken as rescuers worked to get this creature out of the sand. And I have this video, so I have to share the screen. But what's interesting about this story is you would think the turtle knew what it was doing. It's this massive turtle, but it didn't really, because it was going the wrong way. Let's see if I'm able to bring this and make it bigger for you. Nope. I don't think. Here. My apologies. I'm showing the wrong screen. I've done it again. Oh no. All right, we'll stop that and we'll bring up this so you guys can see you click on the video and then it goes to a different screen, but here it is, if you can see that. And there they are trying to get this massive turtle out, but you see the turtle keeps kind of burying itself. I can't get the white thing off the screen. You can see the turtle kind of keeps burying itself underneath and wedging further and further and further in. So the story indicates that it was really a race against time. These turtles on the shores of Veracruz, Mexico, lay their eggs on the beach before they return to the ocean. But one of the moms-to-be didn't turn back to the ocean and kept wedging further and further under the sand. So there are volunteers. There's a group called Campamento Tortuguero de Santander. It's this organization that monitors the turtles and their nesting sites. And they found this situation with this turtle that dug underneath this tangle of tree roots, and it led.
Dice por acá, Rosita, que es crotolamo. Que es crotolamo.
Apologies there. Led to her getting really stuck underneath this area. So finally, they worked to dislodge her, and every time they tried to dislodge her, she dug in further. They had to cut the tree roots out, and they said it was really this race against time. By the time that a path had been cleared of tree roots, she had become almost entirely buried in the loose soil and sand, was still trying to go in the wrong direction. But soon They managed to hoist her shell up and set her in the right direction, and they were able to pull her out of there, and it looks like she's going to be okay. So thanks to Calvin Wong for that story. I really appreciated it. Also looking at this story as well, this one regarding Chat GPT, and I find it scary. Have you heard of the Turing test? It looks like Chat GPT has now passed the Turing test. So what does that mean exactly? Well, the AI managed to fool 73% of people into thinking that it was human. And so it brings us some new questions about AI intelligence. There was a paper earlier this year that described how a large language model passed the Turing test. Now, the Turing test was devised in the 1950s by Alan Turing, who's this computer science pioneer. The test is to determine whether machine intelligence can be distinguished from that of a human. It was ChatGPT 4.5, and the paper found that it had been very successful in fooling people into thinking it was human. This was done in an experiment where people were asked to choose whether the chatbot was an actual human, was it a real person, was it a chatbot, and nearly 3 out of 4 chose that it was an actual human. The folks at UC San Diego, there's one of the co-authors of this new paper, tried to explain what Turing had introduced. This was the idea in his paper in 1950 called Computing Machinery and Intelligence. And the whole point was to address this big question about whether machines can actually think. And so back in the 50s, Turing rejects the question, saying it's ambiguous and non-rigorous because it makes it not clear really on what a machine is and what thinking is. And he said that you can easily address this question. Can a machine act in such a manner that its actions are indistinguishable from those of a human? So he then proposes this imitation game, and that is the Turing test. It involves one person as an interrogator communicating with two hidden interlocutors, or the witnesses, and all communication is written. One of the witnesses is a real person, the other is a machine. And the point is for the interrogator to figure out which of the two witnesses is the real human. So the UC San Diego researcher and team did this experiment with 4 large language models, and ChatGPT version 4.5 was the most successful. 73% of people identified it as the real human. Another model that goes by the name Llama 3.1 was identified as human 56% of the time. The other 2 models, Eliza and GPT-4o, only got 23 and 21% success rates. So, what does it mean that it passed the Turing test? It's not designed to detect machine intelligence or ask whether machines can think. The question is, we can't deny the possibility that genuine machine intelligence is at work. And Turing was arguing that if we could build a machine that was so good at this game that we couldn't tell reliably the difference between the human and the machine, that we'd actually have to say the machine was intelligent. So, do we have to say that now? What is intelligence? And if we can't tell that it's not a human, is it intelligent? Here's what Turing's line of reasoning was. We can't know that our fellow humans are intelligent. We can't inhabit their minds or see through their eyes. But despite that, we can accept them as intelligent. So how do we make this judgment? We do so on the basis of our fellow humans' behavior. So if we attribute intelligence based on behavior, and we encounter a situation where we can't distinguish between a machine's behavior and that of a human's, then we have to be prepared to conclude that the machine's behavior also indicates intelligence. So here it is. We're at this point now. Some would call it the point of no return. Is it all a philosophical argument? Well, maybe it is. Some would maybe reject this game or this experiment as a proof of intelligence, but there's no alternative to it right now. There's no other reliable method of knowing when or if a machine can possess genuine intelligence. Should it go beyond behavior? Maybe. They're at work trying to design more criteria for how intelligent something is. It's all to be determined. That it passed the Turing test, though? That's wild. All right, I have a screen to share with you about a product recall. And just in case this is applicable to you, I wanted to show you the screen so you can kind of read along with what is being recalled, because I guess the damage can be pretty severe on this. If I can, here's what's recalled. It's a soap, and it's expanded to 30 products from shampoo to deodorant and more. And it's not good. This is a Derma Right Industries recall initiated in July, expanded over concerns that more products might include something called Burkholderia cepacia complex. And if you're exposed to this bacterium, it could result in life-threatening infections. So for healthy people with minor skin lesions, it could mean local infections. If you're immunocompromised, it could spread to your bloodstream, leading to potentially life-threatening sepsis. So the symptoms of this bacteria include fever, fatigue, possible respiratory infections, this type of thing. So it's serious enough that they've done this recall. And here are some of them added to the list from Derma Right. 3-in-1, 4-in-1, Clean Free, Derma Sarin, Derma Daily, Derma Fungal. They sure make a lot. Derma Cleanse, Derma Med, Derma Rain, Dermacin, Derma Vantage, Derma Vera, Gel Right, Hand E Foam, Lantiseptic, Lubrisilk, Perifresh, Periguard, Renew Hair and Body Wash, Renew Dimethicone, Renew Full Body Wash and Shampoo, Renew Peri Protect, Renew Skin Repair, Sani Foam, Total Bath, Total Foam, Ultra Sure, and Whirl Bath. All right, so there's some others as well. DermaClean, DermaCera, Clean Foam, and Perigene. So don't use those. They have the possibility that you could be exposing yourself to some type of bacteria. And I hadn't seen this recall. Usually the ones that have serious effects are posted all over the place, and I hadn't seen that anywhere, so I wanted to throw it out there. There is a link now between high THC levels in someone and egg quality and fertility issues. I don't know if you have heard me talk about this before. The link between marijuana use and pregnancy. When you are pregnant, sometimes you're nauseous at the beginning, right? First trimester, you'll have some morning sickness type of thing. And there are many people that say, oh, you need to get a prescription for medical marijuana, or this won't hurt you, what have you. The studies until this point have really been out on whether marijuana or THC or whatever's in it can do some damage. There are some studies that show that pregnant women may be hurting their fetuses. There's some type of learning developments, all kinds of things that can happen. They're still researching all of this. But here comes this study about fertility problems, miscarriages, and chromosome issues in embryos. The findings reported Tuesday in the journal Nature Communications. And the researchers analyzed more than 1,000 samples of ovarian fluid from patients undergoing fertility treatment. They compared unfertilized eggs from 62 women who tested positive for THC with a control group who did not use cannabis at all. And the study found that women with detectable levels of THC had a higher egg maturation rate, but they also produced fewer embryos with the correct number of chromosomes. That's concerning, right? They don't tell you that when you walk into the dispensary. The chromosomes, according to researchers, need time to align perfectly to be ready to be fertilized by sperm and create healthy embryos. This, according to a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Toronto, Cynthia Duval. So she says, yes, we have more oocytes that are mature, but at what price if they don't have the right number of chromosomes? The immature eggs were donated by women undergoing fertility treatment. They would not have been suitable for use. The eggs were exposed to THC in a lab for 24 hours. When they did that, researchers found more altered spindles, which are structural issues that affect chromosomes. Those changes can interfere with healthy embryo development. One thing to note, though, is they're saying that this study can't prove cause and effect. It's still a hypothesis. So more studies, as always, are needed to verify the findings and determine if the changes they observed affect reproduction. But there is a rise in marijuana use during pregnancy, and I feel like people aren't paying enough attention. There was a study in June that found past month cannabis use among pregnant women more than tripled in the United States between 2002 and 2020, because we've seen it become legal and more accepted, right? So the findings of this study are concerning, highlight maybe the importance of being very cautious in using cannabis, not only while pregnant, but also while you're planning to conceive, because it can affect embryos and embryo development and eggs and egg development, right? With the information that doctors are saying, the patients might consider reducing the amount of cannabis they're using to mitigate adverse outcomes to their babies. The level of THC in some cannabis concentrates is reaching 40% or higher, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. So we know that THC potency has drastically increased, and that higher THC concentrations have been associated with a greater likelihood of cannabis use progressing to cannabis use disorder, among other health concerns. So, putting it out there. They need more information. They need to do more studies. I would say if you operate by the idea that if you don't know, it's best just not to do it, then I think that's what we have here. Because what they're telling us, the studies they've done, it doesn't look good, but they don't know. If you don't know, don't do it. Why would you do it? We talk for a moment about parasocial relationships. This is an interesting study. And I want to start by saying this does not apply to us. You and I? No. Here's the difference. We interact with chat. We talk back and forth. We share information about each other. I find us to be, and including you all, so your relationships with each other, your relationships with me and Mark and Nikki, I find them to be more interactive. But there is my Auntie Phyllis is here. Oh, where is she? I didn't see her. Auntie Phyllis is the best. Oh, here she is. Oh, I love Auntie Phyllis. Auntie Phyllis is awesome. Auntie Phyllis, you guys would love Auntie Phyllis. She's the best. Hi, Auntie Phyllis. Thanks for being here. That's awesome. All right, let's get back to the topic at hand, these parasocial relationships. So, what is a parasocial relationship? These people that we all have these relationships, right, that are online. You know their kids' names, maybe. You know where they like to go have breakfast. You know some things about them, but you never talk to them. It's this online relationship. Maybe you met them years ago, but now you seem like if you saw their kid somewhere, you would know that that was their kid, but you don't really talk to their family and you don't really know their family, but somehow you feel connected to their life because you see them online all the time, right? It could be an old friend that you've lost touch with. It could be your favorite artist, your favorite influencer. If you have an influencer, I don't know. Any of these people. It's a one-sided attachment or bond with someone despite a lack of reciprocity. The first time they used this term was in the 50s when TV first came out. It was this illusion of face-to-face relationships with performers that were on the TV screen. You know, you get to feel like you know someone, right? That you have some type of relationship with someone on TV, even if you don't really know that person. And they could be completely different off TV in their real life than they are on. But now it's increasing with influencers and all kinds of different performers, unrequited relationships. And there's a study that was done in 2024, founding that while people found their emotional needs were still met by friends and family, these parasocial relationships sometimes were valued more than relationships with real acquaintances or real colleagues. Because parasocial relationships are available whenever we need them. In the middle of the night, if you're feeling sad, you can go online, right? And check in with your parasocial relationship. Whereas you couldn't call your friend or family member in the middle of the night. So I it's all kinds of interesting discussion about the parasocial relationship, whether it's healthy, um, that now it's becoming part of our psychological toolkit, that there's a lot of positives to this, that parasocial relationships can reduce social isolation, help you build confidence, enhance your sense of identity. And there's you know, some people are saying it can help with anxiety as well. Researchers that specialize in these parasocial relationships say they found minority groups, particularly LGBTQ plus community members, often get the most benefits from them, especially if they lack peers in their social groups. That being able to see yourself mirrored back to you is a great antidote for loneliness and hopelessness that comes with sometimes mental health conditions. There is a risk of social withdrawal. There's some risks with these. I don't know. The reason doctors say they can be harmful is because there's a one-sidedness, that these parasocial relationships can never fully meet your needs. So that when things get really challenging, people can't tailor their behaviors to you because they don't know who you are. So if someone that had low self-esteem started really focusing in on their parasocial relationship and, discounting their real relationships in the world, that withdrawal could make them vulnerable and lower their well-being. that there's some type of balance that you need to strike. Interesting about the new way that people count on parasocial relationships and what those relationships are. Be Aware says, it's interesting in light of our social media wars of the 20s. Mindy Lee says, these are just my imaginary friends. It's interesting you say that because this article calls them grown-up imaginary friends. But I don't think we're imaginary friends because I'm not imaginary and you're not imaginary. I don't know. So interesting. Let's have a fourth MTS spinoff show, Auntie Phyllis chat. Yeah, she's fun to talk to. I don't know what I'm seeing all kinds of stuff in the chat. Interesting conversations. Did someone mention about the button that Jacob drew on the wall? He drew it a long time ago and I only just saw it. It says press here. I just noticed it the other day. I don't know what happens when you press it. All right, let's move to this ghost ship. I don't know if that's what you guys were talking about or not. Ooh, look at that. Old ghost ship in this watery grave. 139 years it's been sitting down there. Yeah. It's a Wisconsin ghost ship, uncovered after nearly 140 years, and it was discovered by citizen scientists. They uncovered this shipwreck in Lake Michigan that had been, they say, hidden in plain sight for about 140 years. It's the wreckage of the three-masted wooden schooner, the F.J. King, and they found it in the waters off Bailey's Harbor in Wisconsin. On September 15th of 1886, the F.J. King left Escanaba, Michigan, bound for Chicago. It was carrying 600 tons of iron ore, and it sailed into a gale off eastern Wisconsin's Door Peninsula. The winds and 10-foot waves ripped the ship's wooden seams apart. Crews couldn't pump the water out fast enough. Eventually, the captain ordered the 8-person crew to abandon ship. And there it went. But at 2 a.m. on September 16th, the crew reported the F.J. King stern, or back end, rose into the air. The shift sent the iron ore crashing forward so hard that it blew off the ship's deckhouse, and the ship went down bow first, 137 feet down into Lake Michigan. Luckily, all crew members were later picked up by a schooner and brought to the harbor. The lighthouse keeper reported weeks later that the masts of the F.J. King were coming out of the water into the shipping lane. But since then, the wreckage has developed a reputation as a ghost ship because no one could find it. So Neptune's Dive Club in Green Bay issued a $1,000 reward for its discovery, and lo and behold, somebody found it. 20 citizen scientists and community historians from around the Midwest participated in this discovery. They used original documents collected over the years. They said they reasoned the captain may not have known where he was in the 2 a.m. darkness, but the lighthouse keeper's course and distance to the masts were probably accurate. So about 2 hours into their search, a large object came on a video screen, and it showed the vessel's hatches. And they measured it. It was 140 feet long. That matched the ship. The people were so excited, they said we had to pinch each other. Then they went down, they took a closer look at the wreckage. They piloted these remote-operated vehicles, and they say they were the first people to lay eyes on this ship since 1886. It is unusual because the F.J. King is intact and sitting upright, and the hull remains remarkably intact as well. Usually, the ships that were carrying these heavy loads would break into pieces once they hit the bottom. It also turned out to be less than half a mile from the lighthouse keeper's original account. So now they've got the Wisconsin Historical Society's maritime archaeology program involved. They've also visited the wreck. They've got a 3D model of it, and they have future plans for nominating it to the state and national register of historic places. And once they have it on the national register, the official location would be released and protected from removing, defacing, displacing, or destroying artifacts. So interesting. I think there's video too. I have to show you the video. Are you as interested as I am in old shipwrecks? I don't know why. It's just so creepy. All right, to take the picture down so I can show you the video. Here's what it looks like as we go along. This is the wreckage of the F.J. King, and you can see how intact it really is. First time anybody had seen it in more than 140 years. So interesting. We're looking at the wreckage of the ship, old ropes, old tie downs, all covered in barnacles and sea creatures. It looks like some type of doorway or hatch you can see. Fascinating. And it's just been sitting there waiting to be found for about 140 years. Wow. Never know what's down there in the dark deep. I do want to make sure we get to this today. It is Hide in Your Cave Monday, so I have some caves to show you. We're going to Iceland today. Here's the first cave we're going to. It's called, I don't know if I'm going to get it right, the Thrinukagigugur volcano. Icelandic, very difficult. This is one of, they say, the most magnificent experiences you can have. Traveling down into the earth in Iceland, seeing the ancient magma chamber of the Thrinukagigugur volcano. It has erupted 3 times, the last time about 4,500 years ago. Now they say it's totally dormant and safe to enter. It is, they say, without a doubt, the best volcano to visit in Iceland. It is the only place in the world where you can actually enter a magma chamber in such a way. You've got a book, Inside the Volcano Tour. That's what it's called, Inside the Volcano Tour. They have a complete 2-mile hike to the volcano. Then you take an elevator and you descend deep into the earth, and the magma chamber is massive. The deepest formation of its kind and the 3rd largest volcanic crater in the world. They say the sheer size of this is absolutely breathtaking. You descend into this chamber and you're greeted with these interesting lava formations and colorful walls. And at the bottom, you get to explore freely. A lot of opportunities for great pictures down there. It's called a once-in-a-lifetime experience and a truly unique volcano experience in Iceland. The next place we're going is a lava tunnel. We've been to lava tunnels in Hawaii and some other places before. This one's pretty cool, though. This lava tunnel in Iceland is a way to, they say, delve into the volcanic history of this country. We already know that tunnels are formed during eruptions. The lava moves underground. The outer surface cools and solidifies, creating this crust. But the molten lava inside continues to flow. Sometimes the flowing lava drains away and it leaves one of these empty spaces behind once the eruption is over. And that is what makes a lava tunnel. So the most popular lava tunnel in Iceland, I'll attempt this name again, is the Raufarshallskeller lava tube, which is about 40 minutes away from Reykjavik. You can get there with a small rental car. They give a classic lava tunnel caving tour. And you can even take a tour from Reykjavik. They'll drive you out there and take you on the tour. They have a raised pathway you can see along the cave. The walls are lit up to highlight the beautiful lava formations and the different colors. One of the other ones, and this one is so fascinating because this looks like a lava tube, right? We've seen that before. Check out this one. Well, I haven't seen that one before. This is the Vidgelmir lava tunnel in West Iceland. It is the longest lava tube in Iceland, and they say it's remained relatively untouched. It's been mostly inaccessible since the 1960s, but today, if you take the guided lava cave tour, you have access to it. They have improved it with stairs and walkways, and it not only has the lava, but also, as you see here, ice formations. It's an ice lava tube. That's totally different. We've never seen anything like it. There are more lava tunnels around Iceland. They have the Vant Scheller cave on one of the peninsulas that I can't pronounce the name of. So wherever you are in Iceland, you should be able to find an ice lava cave or lava tube to tour. But this one with the ice, yeah. It's called, again, the Raufarsholscheller, if you're looking up that ice cave. Look at that. Just chunks of ice sticking up everywhere. That's really cool. All right. That is the way we get away from all the nastiness in the world with Hide in Your Cave Monday. Little dip into the ice cave makes everything all better, right? Maybe not, but kind of. Kind of. For a hot minute anyway. Here's an interesting story about a development. This is MIT students developing a 3D printer, Wes, that turns food waste into household objects. I guess it's sustainable. You're always going to have household food waste, right? A couple of MIT students developed this prototype for a 3D printer that uses artificial intelligence to transform food waste into objects like cup holders and small containers. So this 3D printer does not use concrete or plastic. It works with fruit peels and coffee grounds and leftover rice. And it matches your computer vision, analyzes each ingredient, and guides users until the mixture reaches the right consistency for printing. They say if the starch is not enough, the machine will ask you to add more starch. The United States discards more food than any other country in the world. Happens at, they say, every level of the food chain. But studies show the average American household wastes on average about 3 to 4.5 pounds of food per week. It means Americans waste more than 30% of the food they acquire. And so a lot of companies, nonprofits, they focused on reducing food waste at the source, maybe composting, upcycling. But these MIT students think there's a potential in the waste that remains, that we can turn our food waste into something more meaningful. Is it possible, they asked, to print something useful? And if you look at the things they've printed, I would argue perhaps not. I don't know what any of these, I'll have to show you a different picture. I don't know what any of these things would mean in my life or your life to be useful to us. I mean, they're interesting and maybe fun. There's a couple little cups there, holders, maybe. I don't need anything in that picture. I'm fascinated by the idea, but no, I don't know. There was a Dutch designer that used algae and other organic matter in bioprinting projects. There are researchers in Italy that have experimented with eggshells to create tile composites for furniture. This, though, is solely dedicated to residential food waste. It grinds up the waste into a paste and a heated nozzle at the end softens the material as it's extruded. They say it can handle almost any food scraps, including overripe, blackened bananas, stale bread, wilted or blemished vegetables. Sometimes nutshells and fibrous greens are a little too difficult for it to process. Anything with mold should be avoided for health and safety reasons. So they've got this prototype. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I don't know if we want any of the stuff that it's creating, but I applaud their effort. I know we've seen this car before, as I showed it to you last week, but now it's part of a series of 5 electric cars that are leading the design race. All of these cars, I believe, were shown at the car show in Munich. This year's IAA Mobility Motor Show in Munich, where they had a spotlight on electric vehicles. So these are the 5 electric cars from this show that are said to be leading the design race. The first you see here, we talked about last week, it's the Audi Concept C. And it is an all-electric 2-seater concept car with this design that aims to demonstrate their new philosophy at Audi to use minimal measures with maximal impact. Here's number 2 of the 5. It's called the Avatar Vision Expectra. That's quite a car. Electric vehicle, Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer Avatar, it's AVATR. They unveiled their futuristic concept vehicle, the Vision Expectra. It's a 4-seater, has inflatable headrests, a long, low body with a greenhouse-like roof. And they say as EV tech and battery life continue to advance, they're now being given this freedom to rethink the traditional car model and explore completely new design possibilities. A completely clear roof, so the whole top of your car you can see through. That's interesting. This next one we saw last week as well. It's the Hyundai 3. There it is. It's an electric vehicle from Hyundai with a swooping form inspired by the properties of steel, designed especially for European cities. And Hyundai says it's a concept car for now, but they expect it to set the tone for the next chapter of design integration. Here's the Polestar 5 Grand Tourer. That kind of looks like a normal car instead of a concept car. I don't know. This is the Swedish electric car brand Polestar unveiling its 4-door performance Grand Tourer. This car is actually on sale now in Munich. It's evolved from their Precept concept with only minimal changes. It has a shape informed by aviation, and they developed their in-house motor. So that's the Polestar. And this one, I don't even know what to say about this one. This is the fifth of 5. I mean, okay. This is the Porsche Electric Cayenne. All electric. It launched globally will launch globally at the end of this year, and it was shown in Munich with a special coating made up of layers of conductive pigments that emit light under alternating voltages. The coat was used to demonstrate an innovation that Porsche launched at this car show, which is a wireless charging system. They say it'll be the first to bring an 11 kilowatt charging system with a 1-box base plate for battery electric vehicles to market maturity. So if you would like to use the Porsche wireless charging car plate, you just park your Cayenne above the floor plate. Kind of like when you set your phone on a little charging plate, I guess. The car, which has Porsche wireless vehicle plates in the underbody between the front wheels, automatically lowers and the inductive charging begins. Fascinating. So there you go. Those are the 5 top EVs at the car show in Munich. Interesting looking vehicles there. I don't know. I do want to thank everyone who steps forward and crowdfunds the After Party Live. You are so appreciated. Whether you send stories my way or ideas for where we will travel tomorrow for Travel Tuesday or waterfalls for Wednesday, or whether you help financially fund the show, you are appreciated. And that includes Wes, who's kicking in 5 for today, Scott R, Amy S, Yvonne B, Wes again from last week. Thank you guys so much. I so appreciate everyone who helps keep this show going. It's a labor of love, I think, for all of us. So thank you. All right, tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show, David K. Johnston. We'll talk to him. The show starts at 11 a.m. and David usually comes in around noon. So we will do that. And here on the After Party Live, we'll take a little break from politics and travel somewhere together. Luis throwing in 5. I value this party social relationship, a daily uplifting part of my day. Thanks all. Thank you, Luis. That's so nice. I think I feel that this is not a parasocial relationship because there's some interaction between all of us. It's not like a flat, where I talk but we don't speak really, or that people in the chat aren't having relationships. I feel it grows and it becomes more interpersonal than just a relationship that maybe you feel that you have with someone on TV that you don't really talk to. Does that make sense? Thank you, Luis. I appreciate the contribution. And I just saw another one pop through as well. This one from Scott R, who throws in 10. Thank you. Love you too, Scott. I appreciate that. Nullifidian throws in 5. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate the funding for this crowdfunded show. You guys are awesome. All right. Hi, I hope that you make it the very best rest of your Monday, and I will see you right back here tomorrow on YouTube. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
It's so true, Mindy. It's true. That's kind of what I was thinking. Ooh, that was a car. Hey. Yeah, Claude loves a massage.